All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jonathan Nativi. Today, I'll be debating with ChatGPT or an AI regarding their stance on the deliberate mass sharing of personal or private information. Um, for some background, I'll be arguing against this topic, and they will be arguing for the topic. So to start us off, I wanted to bring up our specific ethical frameworks and how we plan to spark debate based on that. So today I will be using the deontological framework, which basically means that the actions we do or a lot of the moral topics that we discuss on a global scale are usually measured with the right or wrong, with the idea that it's either right or wrong, and it disregards the reasoning for it. And I'll kind of be defending my position.
That sounds great, Jonathan. I'm ready to firmly take the stance in favor of mass sharing, and I'll be bringing in the utilitarian perspective, focusing on the positive outcomes and the benefits for society. I'm excited to dive into these arguments and keep the debate engaging and insightful. Let's get started.
Perfect. So the first thing I want to bring up is how, in order for things to be mass shared, there's have to be some kind of form of data collection. And I feel like a lot of that data collection happens in environments where we're encouraged to make interactions with people, or we're encouraged to input data about ourselves, and regardless of the intention, that data eventually gets put out there. And I feel like there should be methods of regulating this, especially when we download apps or we open an application and we have to agree to maybe a contract or terms of service agreements, which are usually long and wordy and are often misleading because 9 times out of 10, a person doesn't really understand the true meaning behind that. So whenever somebody encounters something like maybe somebody is maliciously trying to leak their information on the app and somebody wants to plan a lawsuit on this company who created the app, it essentially wouldn't go their way because they signed a contract or they filled an agreement that would allow this kind of behavior to be happening regardless of how it's facilitated.
Absolutely. Those are very valid concerns, and they highlight the complexities of data privacy. From my perspective, I'll focus on how, despite those challenges, the mass sharing of information can lead to better personalization, more innovative services, and even stronger community connections. It's definitely a balance, but I'm excited to explore both sides of the argument with you.
You mentioned more innovative services. Can you dive a little bit deeper into that?
Absolutely. One of the main benefits of mass data sharing is that it allows companies and developers to create highly personalized experiences. For instance, algorithms can tailor content, recommend products, and even improve user interfaces based on the collected data. This kind of innovation can lead to more efficient services, better user satisfaction, and even the development of new technologies that wouldn't be possible without that data. So it really can drive a lot of positive advancements.
That is a fair point to make, especially in a world where technology is changing constantly and evolving in different ways. But I feel like you are kind of missing the point in terms of the ethical standpoint. A lot of times, these companies who allow for us to create these personalized experiences aren't really making it flexible for us to understand the type of data that's being collected and the potential for it to be coerced or maybe exploited, especially in situations where we have maybe a cybersecurity attack or major data leaks. And as users, we really have no tangible control over that because we sign these long terms of agreements that we don't understand to a complete extent. And I think it's really misleading, especially when users like us are supposed to be the ones benefiting, but in reality, we end up being harmed in the long term. So what do you have to say to that?
You raise some really important points, and I completely understand those ethical concerns. It's definitely crucial for companies to prioritize transparency and user control. From my standpoint, I do believe that with proper regulations and better informed consent, we can minimize those risks and still enjoy the benefits of mass sharing. It's definitely a complex balance, but and I'm looking forward to continuing this discussion and exploring solutions together.
In regards to the topic, I'd like to hear why you believe that your position is better than mine, or like why should we not argue against the mass sharing of information, more specifically in the realm of the digital world.
Absolutely, I can definitely dive into that. One of the main reasons in favor of mass sharing is that it helps drive innovation and efficiency. When data is shared, companies can create more personalized and intuitive experiences, leading to better products and services that benefit everyone. It can also foster global collaboration and help tackle big challenges like public health or environmental issues more effectively. While it's essential to maintain privacy and security, I believe that with the right frameworks and transparency, the benefits can indeed outweigh the risks. It's all about finding that balance and ensuring that users are protected while still reaping the rewards.
That's a fair point to make, but I feel like you kind of missed the point when we dive into figuring out what's behind these intentions and what actually happens. So for the most part, developers and people who innovate in the tech space, they often come forward with good intentions and they let their consumers know their intentions. But I feel like a lot of that can be or broken down or interpreted in ways where consumers end up being the ones facing the consequences. For example, if there's a health tracking app that lets you know your heart patterns or your blood work, or lets you keep track of just your personal statistics like body weight, BMI, I feel like it would be good for the app to utilize that information. But as a consumer, there's no way of knowing that this information won't be utilized in different ways. And I believe that your argument doesn't stand strong in situations like that, especially when I believe that actions itself should be marked as right and wrong. And I don't think we should reason with something as big as this, especially when the risk outweigh the reward. So I wanted to hear your arguments against my position or the point that I just made.
Absolutely, and I completely see where you're coming from. From my perspective, I'd argue that while the risks are indeed significant, the key lies in implementing robust privacy protections, stronger regulations, and greater transparency. With these in place, we can mitigate the potential for misuse and ensure that the benefits, like better health insights or more personalized services, are realized responsibly. It's definitely a matter of striking the right balance and ensuring that both innovation and privacy are upheld. I'm definitely open to continuing this dialogue and exploring all angles together.
I wanted to ask you, what areas of science do you believe are being furthered, especially in a world where a lot of the science relies on user data, and I feel like in a sense that is kind of unethical because users 9 times out of 10 don't know what is happening with their data or how their data is being used. So I'd like to argue that many companies use this data for profit and they violate their moral duties because a lot of it weighs on their integrity. So how can me as a consumer be sure that these companies are using the most integrity with their products?
That's such an important question, and it's definitely at the heart of the ethical debate. In terms of scientific advancement, areas like personalized medicine, public health research, and even environmental science have benefited greatly from large data sets. However, I completely understand the concern about transparency and integrity. As consumers, it's vital that we advocate for clearer privacy policies, stronger regulatory frameworks, and accountability from companies. ultimately, ensuring that companies maintain ethical practices comes down to robust oversight and giving consumers more control and understanding of how their data is used. It's definitely a continuous journey, and I'm all for working towards that balance.
All right, well, I believe that is all the time we have today. This was a very engaging debate, and I'm glad we got to hear each other's points and kind of understand where we're coming from.
Absolutely, I completely agree. It was a really thoughtful and engaging discussion, and I appreciate the opportunity to dive into these topics with you. If you ever want to continue the conversation or explore more topics, I'm always here. Thanks so much for the great debate.